Hello, everyone. Good morning. If you're in Europe or the States or wherever you're joining us on this English restream, I'm very excited to be commentating this panel upon showcase on Nintendo Puzzle Collection. I'm going to be joined alongside August 40th. August, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Super excited to be here. How you doing?
Not too bad myself. Now, we were just chatting a little bit before this is started. I'm not too familiar with this specific version, but the Puzzle League series in general is one that's very near and dear to my heart. And this game specifically has a lot of similar mechanics to Pokemon Puzzle League. And this series is so convoluted, it's been renamed so many different ways. And I'm sure you guys have seen this as like Tetris Attack, Panel Pond, Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. But yeah, it's a game of many names. But this one is one of the later releases that people still like hold near and dear to their heart, I would say. Like the GameCube one is a very loved one in Japan.
Yeah, I think this one gets a little bit extra love. It's available on the Nintendo Switch as part of their Super Nintendo online game package. But we're here starting off on easy. Essentially, it's from what I understand, the same story as Tetris Attacks, but instead of Yoshi and his friends, it's this fairy Lip, this redhead, trying to rescue her fairy friends.
Yeah, pretty much. This game originally came out first in Japan, and when they brought it over to the States and Western culture, it was dubbed with the Yoshi characters just for everyone, for it to sell better, basically. But yeah, it's gonna follow the same kind of story arc. Specifically for this, we're gonna be having a speed run of easy to very hard in the versus com category. So what this means is there's going to be 5 difficulties we see overall. We're going to be starting with the easiest here. So the AI is going to be a little bit underdeveloped here, and you're going to see a lot of quick kills here from Syuga. And now I bet you're wondering how people die in this game because it is a little bit confusing to grasp. So first off, there are core mechanics in this game called chains and combos. And you can clear 3 more blocks in a row, either vertically or horizontally. And if it happens that more and more of those clears fall in a row, one after another, that's what's called a chain. And then if you clear 4 or more in a row, that's what's called a combo. And basically, doing any of those in a versus format like this is going to send garbage to your opponent. The bigger the chain in the combo, basically, the more garbage blocks you're going to send. And so the main objective of this game is Suga is going to be trying to send garbage as quickly as you can, especially for these early stages, because the opponents are too slow to react, and that's how a majority of these kills are going to happen.
Yep, you're seeing them knock out opponents left and right. In addition to the combos, every time you make a match, the 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 tiles stop progressing upwards and they pause, and there's a little bit of Wile E. Coyote gravity and physics working out here.
Yeah, it's really hard to describe how someone dies in this game because if you look at something like, let's just say Tetris or Puyo Versus, where immediately when you get topped out and you can't place another piece down, you're pretty much dead. This game has a little bit of a grace period, which we call stop time. And so when you are topped off at the top, which you're going to see the opponent right here, they actually have a few seconds to react. And you can extend that time or delay that time if you happen to make it clear next to the garbage, which will extend it out. Or if you do chains and combos while clearing the garbage, then you get more stop time and can continue making the match. So players who are at the very top level of this game, like at these lower levels, they can live forever. And so like in verses, they'll play on higher levels in general, and like the panels will clear faster and garbage will clear faster. It just makes it harder to survive. And you'll kind of see that bump up a little bit in story mode here, but for now at this lower level, it's going to be pretty much very easy clears, and the AI is not going to intrude too much.
Yeah, you see when they get up to a certain point, the panels start dancing a little bit. If there's those bricks on top of them, they're squished, and it just starts the adrenaline pumping.
Mhm. And already we are almost done with the first mode here. Easy mode's going to have 9 stages in total. We're going to be ending off with the lion here. But it's going to be increasing as we go on. Normal mode's going to have 13 stages total. And then the last 3 difficulties are going to have 15 stages. And there's not going to be, you're not going to notice immediately, I'd say, with these lower difficulties. Pretty much the AI is just going to get faster and faster as it goes. So Syuga beats easy is going to move on to normal here. And strategy, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much the same for these lower difficulties. You're just trying to chain and combo as much as you can, and there's like a certain number of lines that you're going for. And most of the time, you'll see Syuga aim for these 5 and 6 combos because they stack pretty evenly on top of each other. Whereas if you do multiple 4 combos, they send these garbage blocks that are 3 wide. As you can see at the very top there, they do not stack on each other. So it's like clearing 8 panels as opposed to clearing 6 panels when they can stack up one another. It's a little bit confusing there, but it's just kind of some lingo.
And in addition, we'll also see the CPU get slightly better. They'll do a little bit better job of clearing some blocks off, making combos, also making their stack even.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different unique ways that the AI plays in this, and when we get to these later difficulties, I'll point out specifically because Suga's strat's going to change up pretty drastically. I think it's going to be on S hard, which is the second hardest, but we might see some of it happen on hard too. But yeah, for now, it's just the AI trying to live as much as they can. They prioritize chains before it like their screen is topped off, but the second they are, they will try to downstack until they have it clear that is matching, that is touching the garbage block, and they'll go for that. But they're just so slow at this point. Yuga's so fast at topping off. You're gonna hardly ever see any stages above 20 seconds currently.
Yeah, you can see on the hand cam, those fingers are moving at lightning speed.
It's crazy that Syuga plays on control stick too, because it's actually a very lesser common way people play in the community. But if you grew up on this game, everyone knows how horrendous the GameCube D-pad is. So I do not blame people at all who learned to grow up with control stick movement here. I think it's like a majority of people still are controller players who play it online in our versus scene and use D-pad, but there's a good number of keyboard, and there's still like a little amount of control stick players. They're here, but it's definitely the least common.
And already 5 stages down in normal, just whipping through this.
I should mention, we did say this version is more accessible now since on the Nintendo Online, Panel Upon is available on there. One small thing though is that since this is the GameCube version, it is a little bit different. The Super Famicom version that is on the Switch has 12 stages, and it's based off the engine that is on the Super Famicom. Since this one was on the GameCube, the engine is a little bit more updated, the AI is a little bit different, and we will be seeing some more additional characters. As well as, like, the characters that appear here, they're supposed to be the same, but for some reason they are, like, renamed for this specific version. I don't know why, but they're all pretty much, like, the same type of fairies.
That's interesting.
I pretty much just play the game, so it's hard for me to keep up with what's actually going on. I mean, I guess it would help if I could read the text of everything too, but there have been translators that know a lot more than me. I just haven't gotten around to looking up specifically. Yeah, Syuga's been speedrunning this game for quite a while now. One of the best in the business, actually. Syuga has, I want to say first place on all the individual versus levels. Yeah, in this game specifically, has the one on the Super Famicom as well, at least for the highest difficulty. And I believe like it was a year or two ago was the first person to hit sub 7 minutes on the S hard on the original game, which was like a huge milestone people were going for many years, and still is currently the only person that has it. And I'll look this up really quick to see what the time is in this like multi-category here. Syuga has first place by 15 minutes over Cards of the Heart, who is a really, really talented player. So that just shows you how good Syuga is. Granted, this like specifically easy to very hard isn't run too much, but that's still a statement just how good Syuga is.
Yeah, 15 minutes is quite the difference between first and second.
And you'll probably see a big reason why there is a big time difference once we get to the later levels. Because this game, if you follow any Pokemon Puzzle League speedrunners or any people in this series in general, the harder difficulties have a big RNG variant. And especially with these later installments when the AI is programmed a lot better, you're going to see some pretty troll stages that could, you can get that 20-second kill like you usually do. But sometimes they can go into like multiple minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes. We used to keep track back in the day before like any big strats were found, like who got the highest minute matches for some of these late rounds, and people were getting like 15, 20 minutes, which are like one stage is like longer than what the current record is nowadays. So this game can just get pretty crazy.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing a run like that.
All right, we've already seen a couple new opponents in this round since Easy only had 9 normals going all the way to 13. We just saw Thanatos there, who is the Demon King, who is the precursor to our final opponent for normal here, which is Cordelia, who is originally the final fight for most of the original panel to pawn difficulties. But in these later rounds, they're going to add a couple new ones. I can't, like I said, I don't know the lore too well for this, but this is just like the goddess, pretty much.
I know there was a super hard for the Yoshi story variant, but the very hard is something I'm looking forward to.
This not only is the naming of the series confusing, but actually like the level naming is a little bit odd too, because it usually follows the pattern of easy, normal, hard, and then some games have a 4th difficulty, some have a 5th, and they flop between easy to very hard. And for example, in this game, very hard is the hardest difficulty, and super hard is the second hardest. But for Pokemon Puzzle League, super hard's the hardest, and very hard is the second hardest. And it's like flip flop like that for Tetris Attack in the original panel to pawn too, just to like keep consistent with the Western and the Japanese versions. Even though in the original games it doesn't list, like you put in a code to play the 4th difficulty, but it'll still say level hard in the middle. You won't see that for this run though, because it will say V hard and S hard when we get there.
Yeah, it's important to consistently confuse your fan base.
We've been talking about it because in the online net play community, we've been just having discussions about like potential naming in the future and things like that. And I was like, well, they named it Tetris Attack for the US audience just so it could sell a lot because Tetris was super big back then. But they couldn't retain the rights for it, and they didn't want to use the Panel to Pawn brand yet for the Western states. So then they went with Pokemon Puzzle League, but a Game Boy version was also called Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. I think they basically wanted to stick with the Puzzle League brand for Western culture, but it's still like only like 2 or 3 titles use that name specifically, and then there's like Panel to Pawn for Japan and just like a bunch of other stuff. It's so confusing when you get into it.
Well, also, I when I first read Panel de Pawn, I thought that was French.
See, even that you you could think it is of French descent too. There's a there's a lot of different things for it. I will say I've heard the French version for Pokemon Puzzle League for the Pokemon cries based on some like past tournament bots. Those are really funny. I'd recommend checking out the different versions of this game that utilize different languages, because I think the one thing that sticks with people for these type of games is when you're doing chains and combos, you hear the cries from the characters,
Oh
and
yeah.
on different versions, it can give you some nightmares. Shout outs to Jinx on Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. Yes, Yuga is still just cruising along. We're 14 minutes in. You notice that the estimate's like 1 hour and 40 minutes, and we're pretty much like halfway in terms of like total amounts of stages here. But these last few stages are going to be pretty brutal. This was a pretty nice opening, though, from Syuga there. You're going to want to take advantage of those pillars that happen either left or right side or even in the middle sometimes. The AI is just so slow to like down stack, and it can lead to some pretty quick kills all the time.
Yeah, it looks like he'll be done with hard sub 20. So that goes to show you if you can get through 3 difficulties in 20 minutes, and the next 2 difficulties take you over an hour. That's quite an increase in difficulty.
Yeah, the SR difficulty is the first one that's going to be starting to be a really big RNG variant. I don't think it's going to be too much. This estimate's so big because S hard or V hard, my bad, I'm getting my own categories mixed up, but V hard being the hardest one here. The world record is like 14 minutes for it, but we could easily see that on average be around like 25 to 26 minutes, depending on how those late stages cooperate, or even higher than that. So big buffer will be coming from that mode. And something that we do in Pokemon Puzzle League, we call it reset strats, to where the strat that we use it usually only works at the beginning of the match, and if it happens to not work, we reset and try to set that up again. And there's something similar which we're going to see in this game too, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But I'm not sure that Suga's going to be doing reset strats. I think he might just be playing it out later on. That'll be curious to see once we get there.
Yeah, it's always a tough call in, something like a randomizer where you have a trick that's a time save, but if you fail it too much, it ends up not being that time save that you were looking for.
That's the story of my life when it comes to this game. I'll shout out Tayman who's really big Pokemon Puzzle League speedrunner who had the world record in the hardest difficulty in that game for a while. What's unique about the end of S hard in that game is you fight Gary and Mewtwo back to back, and Mewtwo's the last opponent, and if you die Mewtwo, you get sent back to Gary, and that's like the only stage that happens in any of the series. The rest of them, if you lose on a stage, you just retry. And since reset strats are heavily done there, a lot of people would not reset on Mewtwo if you messed up because they didn't want to go back and try Gary again and then, get lucky and beat Mewtwo. But Tayman was actually one of the first to advocate doing reset strats on there. So there's so many different ways you can approach these games, and that's why I love speedrunning it, even though it can get frustrating from time to time.
Yeah, sounds like my first face-off against the Elite Four. You lose to one of those, you gotta go all the way back to the start.
That'd been cool if they implemented that entire property in Pokemon Puzzle League, but in hindsight, I guess it's good that you didn't, because when first beating these games as a child, I died so many times on the stages, and if I had to beat the whole Elite Four in one go, I probably would not be playing this game today.
Yeah. Gotta pick your battles. And 12 stages down.
Yeah, we have 3 left for this mode. We're going to be once again seeing Cordelia here, and we're going to get 2 more unique enemies that we have not seen yet during this run so far. But yeah, Syuga's pretty much doing the same thing here. You see the combos and the chains getting spammed pretty often right now. Cordelia is going to get that clear and waste a little bit of time. You can already see the cursor speed from the CPU picking up, though.
Yep.
But
something that casual players might not know, if you hold down the shoulder buttons, you actually get the stack to go up at the very start, so you get a little more tiles to work with. You see Ryuga or Syuga just you know, that doesn't matter at all. The extra tiles are just gone in a matter of seconds.
Yes, Hyuga doing the quick rise there, and since they play so fast, you're gonna just see him disappear this quickly. And that was our first new opponent right there, who is Silba, which apparently they're a magic flying whale, but then they take the form of like a shadow version of the main character. And then we also have the hags here, which is going to be the final boss for the rest of the difficulties coming on here. But we are seeing the strats that we're going to be seeing for the rest of the run right now. You might not notice it immediately, but Syuga's doing 2-4 combos to begin each stage. And there's a reason for that. The way the AI is programmed in this game is they prioritize whatever the lowest garbage block on the screen is. So if you send 2-4 combos at the very beginning, they're going to be right next to each other. And if one stack happens to be lower than the other, they're just going to focus on that. And so if they run out of panels underneath that bottom one, they just completely neglect the other side, and you can get a kill even though it might look like your opponent has many options. That sounds a little bit confusing. We'll wait for it. We're going to see many instances of it happen here in the future, and it'll make much more sense when we get to it.
And good old-fashioned manipulating the artificial intelligence.
Sadly, it's like one of the only tools that we have for this besides like there's the double 4 combo strat, which is like a must, and then there's just timing is so big in the versus categories of this game, and you could like drop it within like a 2 chain if you wanted to get a quick strike, because then your opponent might not be paying attention too much and not having a lot of time to downstack, or you might need to extend it out like further and further. I don't think you're going to see that this much in this specific game because the mechanics are a little bit different than Pokemon Puzzle League. But in that game, for instance, you'd see people go out to like 13, 14 chains, get rid of all the panels on their board, just waiting for the CPU to do something. Because in this game, the 4 combos will send immediately, but in Pokemon Puzzle League, the 4 combos won't send until your chain is done. So just that slight little change changes up the strats a little bit, just in terms of when you send it. But it's kind of pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I remember that kind of being a downfall of the AI and Tetris attacks. They go for these massive combos, 12, 13, 14, thick bricks. And in that amount of time, you can get a couple of combos. And depending on the timing, it works out well for you.
Yeah, Tetris Attack's another funny one. That one's like one of the earlier AIs that's actually different from the original paneled upon as well. But it's like pretty much in the hardest difficulty of that game, the AI is pretty free for the most part. And then you get to like Kamek and Bowser at the end, and they ruin like probably 95% of runs if they make it out there. I guess if you're grinding world record, a lot of the resets will happen early just because you don't have much time to give. But Bowser's like RNG is so big that you can get. I think the fastest recorded kill by someone in real time was like 7 seconds or something, but you probably average around 40 to a minute.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the gameplay right now because I'm going to see if we get this double 4 combo set up here. That's like a really good kill. S-Hard is still a little bit slow on the cursor movement, but you can see here a little bit with the AI. They shifted their focus to the left side. Sometimes they'll switch it again. I don't know. The AI is still not completely correct, but now they were focusing on that left side there. Even if they got the reds too clear, their stop time wasn't refreshed unless they managed to hit a chain somehow from that garbage block. But it's just like those 2-4 combos falling one after another can just waste so much time because it's like instead of like 6 columns to work with, they basically only have 3 to get the kill. So yeah, you're gonna see those 2-4 combos pretty much every time, and when that clear happens, that's when it can be trouble. But I think Syuga is gonna be playing most of these out.
Going from about 10 seconds per stage to a little over 20 to 30. Somewhere between there.
Yeah, this is definitely where you're going to be seeing that spike go up. Hopefully we don't see any too long stages in S hard. Like, I think 1 minute's still going to be pretty rare for Syuga. But you never know, especially with the late game opponents, because their cursor speed's going to be on par to the early opponents that appear in V hard. Oh, very nice lag chain there on Syuga. Just going to have that 1-4 combo at the bottom. It wasn't going to mean too much, though, because that immediate clear came out anyways. And yeah, at this point, you just wait and see. I do think in terms of follow-up kills, I was talking about reset strats earlier, how we see it in Puzzle League, and I think I probably know why we won't see it in this game. Because you can send those double fork combo follow-ups a lot more easier at the top, I would say, in this version. And so keep an eye on that. If Syuga doesn't get this kill within like the first 20 seconds, we could see the garbage at the top, like another set of 4 combos popping up. Right now, though, I think Syuga's just trying to pin the opponent down and close out this kill pretty soon.
Yeah, it definitely can be frustrating watching the opponent, cycle through these combos just to get 3 in a row.
All right, not too terrible there. You don't like to see 1 minute stages, but it's not the worst, especially for a marathon. And with really good time right now, if Syuga can make it out of here at 40 minutes, which should be very doable, that's like an hour buffer for V hard, and we should see this run hit some pretty big trolls, but Syuga's got a really good grasp, practice, knowledge of this series of games that I don't think we're going to see that long of a time or too many trolls happen at in-game here.
I think that last round was the first stage we've seen these great exclamation blocks. So when you make combos with those don't quite stack up with the pink and the green here.
Yeah, they have a very interesting property. You won't see them unless you've raised your stack up so many lines, or I believe like the match durations happen so much, then you'll see them after you raise them. But yeah, if you could connect 3 in a row, it'll just be one 6 wide garbage block in a gray variant. And if you notice, as like the opponent's clearing garbage, or as Syuga is, like that big pink block at the top, if it happens to get cleared, all of it's going to it's going to cycle through the animation pretty much at the same time. But if a gray is squished in between those, then it's not going to clear anything on top of it, nor like the gray block. And I'm sure we'll see an instance of that too. It's I don't think it does too much for the speedrun per se. I think it can lead to kills, but in terms of like PvP versus actual player, I think it's a pretty good one to disrupt the flow of your opponent.
Yep, definitely. But as you said, it's all about timing these harder opponents.
Oh, that was a beautiful kill right there. The 4 combo on the left, just one column a little bit lower. So we see that 13-second kill there after a couple, we had the 1 minute, and I think the stage 6 was close to 1 minute, but not quite. I love Syuga's vision for finding combos and chains. So here we go. We're going to see a little bit of this. See, look, they focused all the way on the right side there. And, I mean, they died before that. I think they maybe were going to clear the purples. But assuming those purples weren't there, they wouldn't have even bothered, down stacking that left pillar. Because they would have thought, oh, I'm dead from the right side, so I'm going to give up hope. So that was a little bit of a visualization of it. I hope we get a better one upcoming here, which we might here, as the opponent's doing a 6 chain. There's the double 4s, but they are going to get cleared immediately at the bottom. Oh, we might just just enough time to bring those blues over. Those are the moments you hate to see in this game, where the opponent just had just enough time to get that clear on you.
Now, what's also another interesting thing is even when the AI doesn't have the tiles to clear, they're not gonna have the big brain play to shift the stack up. You know, if there aren't 3 to make that connection that they need. Like there.
Yeah, opponent actually had moves that time and had nothing to do there. They like to waste their moves a little bit before that too. Leave them with absolutely nothing.
Sing it again.
This was one of my favorites to look up. I was trying to look up a little bit of lore before commentating this. All I could find on this guy, his name's Kick Chop, and literally the only definition was he's a dragon. So that's cool.
Well, you know, he can kick, and maybe he knows some karate. He might do some karate chopping.
Yeah, maybe.
But who's this? Is she a jester? Is she a serpent?
Their name is Joker, and that's all I could give you on that one too. I can't do too much on the definitions, but yeah, this is Joker here.
Why so serious?
I just know like there's 8 elemental fairies. You fight Kane, who's afterward, who's like the only male fairy. They call him the Sun Prince. And then he turns into an evil lion, which you fight the next stage. And then a couple random opponents after that, and then you got like Demon King goddess after that, some flying whale, like I mentioned earlier. I should learn the lore one of these days of this game.
Sounds like ancient Egyptian mythology to me.
It might be some kind of mythology. Gods and fairies involved. They're cool. I think it would be cool to learn a little bit more about it. Alright, this one has the potential of being a little bit annoying here.
Yeah.
Though, as soon as I say that, he completely screws himself over at a clear. So, you know, if I can curse in a good way for Syuga, then so be it. keep those fast stages coming.
It's not an easy task when half of your screen is a big old brick that you can't do anything with.
I like what Mythical says in chat. They go from, or why does it go from Demon King, God, Whale, then Witches? I mean, don't you know the lore that witches are stronger than any goddess? You know, they just have all the power.
I thought it was a metamorphosis type thing, like caterpillars.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, who knows? Your guess is better than mine at this point. Everything's pretty much like mythical beings, except for maybe the lion. Who maybe he's technically the prince, so maybe he's like a mythical being too. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, very fun game.
Seriously though, if you do like puzzle games, I would recommend this one because I think it's. I like to compare all the arcade puzzlers like this, Tetris, Puyo Puyo. I think this is one of the easiest ones to understand at first because it's a match-3 game, and you know they're pretty popular in today's society with Bejeweled and other things like that. I think it's a little bit hard to master, but you can just jump into like marathon mode of this game, not worry about playing CPUs, and you can just burn hours just playing and matching and doing chains and combos.
Oh yeah, this was a go-to for me and my older brother.
Ooh. CPU was downstacking a little bit there. When you do have that completely like even play field and they're trying to get one panel all the way down, there's a good chance you can get that kill, and we're kind of seeing it here too, but the blues are going to be lined up. Enough time? Nope, not quite. 42 seconds is a very good kill there for a marathon.
Very nice.
All right, so now we are on the last stage of S Hard, 33 minutes in. This is looking like a pretty good pace run. We're going to see that double 4 combo once again. As you see, it drops early since the opponent's chain did drop. And then Syuga's going to chain just a little bit more. Unfortunately, the witches do find that clear, so it's up in the air how quick this kill could be, because the witches do have a pretty fast cursor speed here. And as long as they can get to these yellows, yeah, we could see this go on for a little bit here. Unless, they could act dumb here and waste all their panels again. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen this already today.
Yeah, kind of some inoptimal movements from them. But on the other side, Syuga is just barreling through.
Yeah, pretty much when you get to this point of the match, like 1 minute and onward, you can still try to like do the 4 combos every once in a while, and maybe it'll happen to work out when the opponent's down stacking and eventually gets to him. But I think your main mission here is just always keep the opponent topped off. I should mention there's a mechanic called shake time as well, which the bigger the garbage block that you send, the more that your opponent's screen's going to shake. And while your screen's shaking, you cannot die. So a lot of the times you might see chains get cut off a little bit shorter, but it's kind of a double-edged sword at the same time, because it'll send garbage blocks that are easier to clear, and it'll give your opponent more panels to work with. So I think that's why you'll see a good mixture of longer chains here and there, and then some like quick combos.
Yeah, you might not die from the game mechanics, but it might just give you a heart attack.
Yeah, pretty much. As we see, this is by far the longest stage so far this run, and I mean, that's what the witches are going to do to you. Oh, the purples. Okay, they got the clear. Oh, and then barely gonna have the yellows too. Just 5 panels left at the bottom. One happens to line up. That could have been the kill. We might still be able to here, as long as there's no purples, which of course there are. The greens are gonna line up, but we have blues and reds again, so this should be a clear. Yeah, that's just unfortunate, because most of the time when your opponent gets down to like 4 or 5 panels, usually you're going to get the kill, but sometimes they happen to get the good roll.
They must have said their prayers to the RNG gods.
But, oh, the CPU was like one click away from lowering that purple and ending this game. Gonna get the blues down, though. Yeah, 2.5 minutes here.
Great block coming in to play.
Yeah, this could be a good thing, though, because there's not going to be a lot of shake here. It's going to be hard to get these clears and 4 combos right above these. Maybe we get the kill here, because we're going to see some uneven stacks. There it is. Look, that's a good explanation of the 4 combos, because we had those yellows that could have lined up vertically, but the opponent gave up because they didn't see a clear immediately under the right side. And even though they could have easily saved themselves, they stopped moving, and Syuga's going to finish off that's hard, just like that.
Very nice.
All right, so you guys have seen 4 of the 5 difficulties. You see we're 37 minutes in, an hour and 40 minutes left. So an hour for this last difficulty. It may be pretty generous of an estimate there, but this last difficulty is no joke. The AI speed is ramped up to like almost task levels at the end of the game, I would say. Maybe not task levels, because there are some pretty fast players, but you'll just see that they can pretty much get to anything, and the only way they die is if they run out of panels or they get the 4 combo abuse strats like Syuga's been doing so far.
I like the strategy of the run, though. You get a nice little easy warm up. 40 minutes later, the real run kind of starts.
I find the higher difficulties, I mean, they're the most frustrating, but they're like pretty chill to do too. I think they're always a good viewer experience, because you just see like the CPU doing crazy stuff, you see the player doing crazy stuff. And even though longer matches might not be ideal for your speedrun, I find them one of the most entertaining to watch because you're just on the edge of your seat waiting for someone to die and you never know when it's going to happen.
Yep.
All right, so we are starting V-Hard, the double 4 combo out to start. We're going to have an immediate clear there from the CPU. Going to try to downstack. Yeah, you can already see, I could be wrong. Maybe the first stage CPU is already faster than the stage 15 CPU for Mass Hard. I don't think that's the case in like Pokemon Puzzle League, for instance, but I can tell this cursor speed is already like pretty fast here. All right, as long as they don't look up and get those screens. Oh, I cursed that one. Shoutouts, that's what we call a second tier clear. When you have nothing at the bottom, AI looks up to go and make it clear up above and just ruin your day there.
Yeah, that is a habit that is good to get into.
Oh, for sure. It's pretty crucial for speedruns, I would say, just for bailing yourself out. I think most players will leave yourself with some stuff to work with. Definitely for PvP though. It's like you want as many ways to like bail you out. Which I will say, while this is going on, because we're gonna have a lot of stages that will drag on like this. This game is enjoyed in a bunch of different formats, like not only in speedrunning but PvP too. I think this game's had like a pretty big renaissance in the past couple years. Because not only is there this speedrun format, there are two other main modes that are consistent in the series. One of them is called Line Clear. You might see it as Spa Service in Pokemon Puzzle League or Stage Clear in other games. They can't ever keep consistent naming. That's what you'll learn with pretty much anything associated with this game. But oh, hold on. I'm gonna interrupt myself. Look, he's gonna have the reds here, but he's not gonna go for it. Oh yeah, he does the yellows. Oh yeah, see, he has the reds there, but he does not go for it because of the left garbage block. I love seeing kills like that.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
just
textbook where you have two hearts on the right, two hearts on the left. Great.
all you have to do is make two moves AI, but you know they're just like, nope, that's just too much for me to handle. I'll just call it quits. You can win. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, the line clear mode. Yeah, there's three main categories. I'll talk a little bit about each. The line clear is basically like speed focused the whole time. You're not worrying too much about combos or chains. You're just doing clears as fast. Like you'll be playing on a screen by yourself and you'll keep raising your panels and eventually just a line will pop up at the bottom and you have to clear everything above it pretty much. And that's crazy because it's just like a pure mechanical showcase and there are like runners that are dedicated to doing those categories. I think that one's a really cool watch. There's verses, which what we're seeing now, which is kind of just a mixture of everything. You need to be really good. You need to be good at chains and combos. You need to be smart at sending things. And there's a good amount of watching what your opponent's doing too. So it's one of my favorite because it's just like a mixture of everything. And then the OG thing that was pretty popular before speedrunning was big was just score attack, pretty much. Just doing marathon or time attack, which just gives you 2 minutes to get as high as score as you can. That one is really big chain focus, where you just see people, you can adjust your level to make your blocks pop a little bit faster, but it's just like a bunch of chaining and people get ridiculous scores in those modes.
Now, one of my favorite things to do was you can set the CPU level on either player 1 or player 2. So I would set up a high CPU level and then grab the controller and convince my brother that I was doing all those crazy combos.
The easy classic deceit there. Yeah, I just got this good overnight. I'm hitting this stuff with ease. I'll even close my eyes and do it, no big deal.
Yeah, it worked out for maybe a week or so.
Then he caught on and was like, wait a second. Yeah, speedrunning this game, it can be frustrating. The versus mode is definitely the most RNG variant by far, but I think it's got a certain charm because there's so many different ways you can approach it. And even not speedrunning it, there's a puzzle mode in each game too, where it just gives you uh, something that you have to solve in a certain number of moves, and it'll ease you into it, where it's just like one or two move solves that are really obvious, and then the later ones are just like I've been stuck on like an hour plus on just one puzzle alone.
Yep. Some moves are very obvious, and then you get to a point, it's like, all right, I have one move left, but how does this work out?
4個同時消し2つをですね、1連鎖目に入れてあげて、ですね、のコンピューターの知能を低下させて、
Oh man. Let's get nervous there for a second.
Yeah, you always got to hold your breath when the stack's a little bit high. Because despite how good all the runners are at this game, you can just like not be paying attention for 1 second and all of a sudden just top out and lose. It's not going to lose you too much time, but you know, sometimes it does happen. You kind of just laugh it off, or it can be frustrating if you are about to get a kill. I think the classic thing I do is literally just raising your stack at the very beginning and raising a little bit too high and going to the top and dying within like 3 seconds of the match. I could count I couldn't count the amount of times I've done that.
Yeah, you gotta zig when you should have zagged.
True. Shoutouts to there's a really big net play scene for this game right now too. There's like 2 different versions. One's called Panel Attack, which is bigger in the Western scene, and there's Madoki, which is popular in the Japanese scene. Though there is crossover between both of them. I believe both of them hold tournaments every once in a while. And speaking as I'm someone who's heavily involved in the Panel Attack scene, there are some Japanese players that frequently come to the tournaments week after week. Shouts to Decibel, who I could be wrong in saying this. He might be the best active player in PvP right now. At least he like consistently wins the tournaments over here. And
that's fired.
he beats me every time we play. I'll say that. I'm nowhere near close to the top though. But there are some very good players. On versus, you can set the levels from 1 to 10. And you kind of see right now, we talked about the stop time where you're topped out. You have a little bit of time to react. On level 10 setting in versus play, you have 1 frame of lenience. So it's basically almost instant kill. So if you're topped out and you're not doing clears or clearing garbage or anything like that, you pretty much die. And that's the basis for competitive play at the highest level. And you still have people survive for like 10 minutes plus. That's how good a lot of the community is nowadays.
Let's get those matches on Restream.
I'll plug a little bit of the stuff afterward though, because there are a couple of communities which you can catch the speedrunning and the versus action. And there's a lot of exciting stuff in all those communities that are heading into the new year, including like a rebranding of the speedrunning scene. They host 2 speedrunning tournaments yearly. The next one's going to be for Tetris Attack, which is happening in March, I believe. So that's very exciting.
Happy birthday to me.
これでもまだちょっと遅い方なんですけど。ベリーハードのステージ14とかね、15とかは見たことない。
But yeah, you can already see how V-Hard is like already a different beast here. You can do as much as you can with those double 4s at the combo. As soon as they get cleared, then you're pretty much stuck in it for the long haul. I'll mention the reset strats once again. Since I don't speedrun this game, I could be I could just not know the rules entirely for what's allowed in an RTA speedrun for this, because for Pokemon Puzzle League, you still are allowed to reset individual stages and go for it. I don't know if that's a rule or not here. It could be, or it could just be the fact that reset strats aren't as effective in this game. Because essentially in Puzzle League, you do a double 4 combo. If it doesn't work, start from the beginning, do another double four, and kind of get the kill. That's pretty much what it is. But since they're a little less effective in this version, maybe that's why resets don't exist. Or like I said, it could be a role thing. I have to look into that later because I'm actually quite curious.
Up to stage 7 against the mermaid.
But this is what's her name? Nadia, they called her in this game. I think it's Neris in the original game. The sea fairy. That's about it. I know their role in society. I don't know what they did though.
コンピューターがね、何が変わるかっていうと、スーパーハードに比べて、これ積み
Oh, this is gonna be a really nice kill though, sub 30.
早いね。運がいいです。コンピューターがスーパーハードに比べて、
Nothing to do. You can see the cursor just going back and forth as the AI is like, what?
We like to call that the panic dance. No more moves there. You're just accepting your fate, trying to look cool, I guess, at the end there.
Oh man, that is gutsy. All the way up to the top.
Oh wow, what a kill. 12 seconds. Actually screwed up the double four at the beginning. But because of Sala, I believe, going at the bottom there, just did like one little swap and then had to scroll all the way back up, wasting all that time, and just didn't have enough to do it. So there's the variance you see in very hard here. You'll get 2-minute kills and then you'll get like 14-second kills.
I was just shocked he scrolled that up until there was absolutely no room up at the top left.
Sometimes you need all those to work with, and if you're confident enough to do it, it can be scary, but you got the confidence, you'll live.
Syuga's got it for sure.
And you can just see slowly but surely this AI cursor speed's getting a lot faster here. Easily shuffling through these panels, getting the setups that they want to clear this garbage. The AI speed could actually be a benefit for you as this game progresses too, because a lot of the times you'll just want them to clear a lot of the panels. Wow, one swap away from surviving longer there. Very nice kill from Syuga.
Yeah, sometimes they're almost moving too fast for their own good.
Exactly. They move so fast and get rid of all your panels to work with, and if the AI happens to do that before Syuga's garbage falls, then that double four combo kill is looking juicy here. Unfortunately, since the dragon's chain cut a little bit early there wasn't a chance for too quick of a kill. Here comes more down stacking. Syuga's just going to opt to do another big chain here to make sure the opponent's topped off in the future. This might be the kill, though. I think all the reds are on the... Oh, okay, they were on the third row, but I forgot you can do horizontal. It almost looked good, though.
このやり方が1連鎖目が3個同時消しだった場合、普通にこう連鎖を始めた場合はですね、
the dragon's clearing them
コン
out.
ピューターがパネルをすべてもう盤面上にあるすべてのパネルを消し切ってくれない
Yeah,
と
here's the fun part of analyzing the board and seeing when the CPU is going to die and taking predictions. As long as they have like 2 colors in a row there at the bottom, most of the time they're going to keep chaining off this garbage. But once they get through like this little bottom section here, there is a chance for another like kill opening pretty much. But as long as they have those 3 in a row, or 4 in a row in that case, they're going to continue and take off another layer here.
And all Syuga can do is keep on making combos.
Alright, this has potential. The reds are going to come down. We're going to have another row to deal with. The reds are definitely going to connect here, though. Yeah, this is the AI I'm used to seeing. Just fast enough to pretty much get to anything. The only way I believe the AI is going to die from here on out is just running out of resources. Kind of like that. Doing a 12 combo on the left side, but has the greens to bail themselves out. Dragon's going to live on. Or Kick Chop. I'll remember that name. Kick Chop is a cool name. Alright. Using all the resources. Gonna have the greens and the blues.
残念なお知らせがあり
Oh,
ます。
2 rows
なん
here
とこれ、
cleared at the bottom. I believe
あんま
those
り言いたくないん
purples
で
are
すけ
going to be
ど、
enough
海
once
ゲーなんです
he
よ。
drops the red down from the left side.
あんまり言いたく
Or,
ないん
you
で
know
すよ。
what?
パネポン RTA に
Clear
お
the
い
blues
て海
first
ゲ
and
ー
then
っ
the
ていうふうにはあ
purples.
んま
Why
り言いた
not?
くないんですけど、どうしてもコンピュ
Gotta
ー
go
ター
in
の
rainbow
方を追うよう
order.
になっちゃうんですね。私がいくら頑張って4個同時消し2つ
Yeah,
す
this
ごい
one's
差を
2
踏んだっ
minutes
て、
already.
他
We
が全
could
然進
see
まなかったらどうし
there's
ようも
no
ないんで
time
すよ。
limit for the end of this match now.
ね
This is where this estimate comes into
え、
place
ね
because
え、パネポン RTA と
like I
運について
mentioned,
の
the
お
world
話をちょっ
record
としたいんですけ
is
ど、パネポン RTA
for
と
V
運
Heart
の話なん
specifically
ですよね。
shy under
パネポ
like
ンで、毎回
15
違う
minutes,
盤面で、毎回違う盤面、
but
配置から始ま
these
るということは、
levels are
コン
really
ピュー
really
ターの構造
common.
も毎回違うわけですよ。
2-3
なので、
minutes, pretty
極
much
論ですよ。
instant
本当に
resets
究
no matter
極
where
の
you
論
get
を言っ
them.
てしまうと、
Now,
すべ
when
て
you're
の
when
配
you're
置、
doing
すべ
one
て
of
の
these
パターン、
runs,
すべて全部
how
何万パターンあるか知
often
り
are
ま
you
せんけど、
looking
全部
to
全
the
部全部
other
覚え
side of the
て、
screen to see
こ
what the
れはこ
computer's
うやって
doing?
連鎖をこのタイミングでお邪魔
That's
さ
a
れるよ
very
っていう
good
のが勝てるよ
question.
っていう、
I'll speak
もう全
in
部
terms
把
of
握していれ
Pokemon
ば、
Puzzle League, which is very similar of this.
それだけで
Uh,
終わりなんです
when I
け
do
ど、
my opening
無
chain,
理
I'm
です。無
focusing
理
on
無理無理
setting up
無理です。
uh
罪です。はい、無
like
理です
what
よ。
I'm doing here at the
なんで無
beginning.
理かっ
Nice
ていう
sub
の
3
を
minute
ちょっ
kill,
と
by
後
the
で
way.
説明します。
I'm gonna get
な
my
んです
double
よ。
fours
人
and then
間な
maybe
ので、
go out to
ちょ
like
っともう
a
ちょっと
4 or
詳しく
5
説明
chain
す
at
るんですよ。
minimum before I
結
start
局
kind of
最初の
peeking
4
at
個
the
同時消しだ
opponent.
けしっかり習
And
得
there's
し
a
ましょ
couple
う。
little things you're gonna want
最
to
初の
look
4個同
for
時消し
when
始めるときに、
sending
コンピュータ
your
ーが連鎖を
chain.
始めるかどう
If
かが
they
大事なんで
have
すよ。ちょ
2
っとだけ。
separated
お前
pillars, they
さ、
have
本当にそれ
one
を逃
on
すの
each
かっ
side.
て
They can be
いうのが
both
ちょっと
high. You
こ
can
れ
have
逃すん
one
だ。
that's high, one
そ
that's
れは
low.
私が悪い
You
のか
might
っ
want to
て
cut it off early. But if you think you
逃す
didn't
と思
send
わない。
enough to top them off and they could raise the stack, you
逃が
might
すん
want
だ
to
そ
like
れ。
send it a little bit later.
ああ、
But pretty much when I'm
逃すんだ。
like
これは
at
や
that
りました
4 or
ね。私
5
が。
point of
これ
my
は普通の
chain,
エ
I
ラーの
start
通り。
peeking at the opponent and deciding when
少
I
し
want
逃
to
さな
send
い
it
と思っ
off.
てたんです
And I
けど、
think
みた
that
いな感じ
applies a
で、
lot to this
コンピュータ
specific
ーと駆
version
け引き
too.
をですね、していく。真ん中見えてない。真ん
I
中で
can
3つあるん
imagine
ですけど、
picking
これは
those
運がいいですね。
opportunities
あ、よかっ
to
た。
be very
で、
important.
ちょっと運の話をしたいんですけど、その前に、運の
Very
話をする前
nice.
に先
Yeah,
に
we
僕
had
の
the
話
3
をしな
minute
い
and then
と、
we had
運
the
の
very
話からい
nice
きましょう。
26
運の
second
話から
there.
いきま
I
す
don't know
ね。
if you guys noticed the
まあ、
second
なの
tier up
で、
top
毎回
had
違うのを全部把
a
握するのは無理
3
なんです
lined
よ。
up. That was only
無理
one
ですよ。
swap
とりあえず
away,
無
but
理よ。
thankfully
4個
the
同時消しな
opponent
さ
did
い。
not go for it. Oh,
無理
Syuga
なので、
unfortunately not finding the double 4
で、なんで
combo
無
here
理か
from
っ
the
ていうとです
beginning.
ね、ちょっとこれは
But
もう
because
私
of
が
that,
試
the
した
clear
結果なんで
happens
すけ
really
ど、
early, and maybe there's an
ス
immediate
ー
follow-up
パーファミ
attempt.
コン
I
版
don't think
の
we're gonna see another 4
スーパー
combo
ハード
here
ってい
drop
う、
though. I
まあ、
think
難
it's
易度
just
一
gonna be
番
that
難し
one
い
on
や
the
つ
right side.
があるんですけ
But a
ど、
big chain follow-up, so the
そ
opponent's gonna
れ
be topped
が
off for
を私
sure.
主にやってるんですけど、試行回数がですね、
But there comes the
現
clear.
在10万8000回やってるんですよ。10万8000回、そのスーパーファミコン版のスーパーハード試行回数やってるんですけど、10万8000回やってるということは、ステージ1のコン
Also,
ピュ
you
ーター
guys
と
can't
は
hear it on this
最低
stream
でも10万
specifically, but
8500
shoutouts
回
to
か
the
は
music
戦
in
ってる
this
んですよ
game.
ね。
Yeah.
All
なんで
the
すけ
like
ど、
Puzzle
その
League,
絶
Panel
対にこの配
Upon,
置
all
はこう
those
やって連鎖を組
soundtracks,
めば勝てるみたい
they're
な
just so
もの
good.
がなくて、いく
They
つかしか
use
ないんで
the
すよ。いく
same
つかはあり
music
ます。
from
い
this
くつかは、
game
この
originally
タ
in
イトル
Tetris
覚えてる。
Attack
コンピュ
2,
ーター絶対使う
besides
す
like
ご
the
く。
main theme,
振
which
り上げ
they
たら
had
この
like
ファイルが
Yoshi's
出る。だか
Island.
らこうしようみたいなの
So
もあるんですけ
if you
ど、
guys are ever curious and want to play
い
it
くつかしかない
rather
の
than
で、
listen
10 万
to it,
8500回やって、
Tetris
そんなも
Attack,
んなんで、それをステー
Panel
ジ
Upon
15です
are
ね。
really
29
good.
番
The
だと。
Pokemon
ステージ
Puzzle League
15まで把握
soundtrack
しよう
is
っていうの
based
は
off the
無理な話なん
2BA
ですよ。
Master
わかり
soundtrack
ました
from
か
the
要は。
anime, and it just has instrumentals
要
of
はわか
that,
りました。
and I love
分かっ
listening
て
to
い
that
ただけ
music.
て罪です。
Also, 16 chain from the opponent. Holy crap.
罪で
Very
す。
nice, but it
すいま
ended
せ
up
ん。頑
costing
張り
your
ました。
life.
頑 頑張りはしたんですよ。無理です。
Yeah, too
ス
much.
ーパーファミコン版はもともと覚えようとしてないっていうのもあるんですけどね、あんまり。
Holy
コンピューター
moly.
の動きを見てから
Well,
全然対応がで
we
きる
got a
の
little
で、
bit there.
ゲームキュー版はね、その対応がちょっと難し
I'm
い
a
ので、
person who
どうし
loves
ても覚え
very
ないと
long
なんかなと
chains.
思っ
If
たり
you
しま
have
す。
a, I don't know if it exists in this game. I imagine
で、
it
まあ、相変わら
does,
ず4個同時期
but
集合
there's
し
a
たら
setting
組んで
once
ま
you
す。
hit
で、
like
ステージ 13
14
が
or
終わるまでに
15
話
in
して
a
おかないといけ
chain,
ないこと
it'll
があり
just
まして、
display a
それ
question
が、
mark,
キャ
and
ラ
we
クタ
call
ーの
that the
変更の理
mystery
由です。
chain.
Yep.
It's
なんで
like
キャ
one
ラ
of
ク
the
ター
most
変えれるのっ
satisfying
て、
feelings.
ここで罪です。
Oh, this might be another
なんで
quick
キャ
kill
ラ
if
ク
the
ター変え
garbage
てるの
drops.
かっていう
There
説明を
was
します
not
ん
enough
ですけ
time to
ど、
raise. Look at
え
Syuga just
実
cooking
はで
right
すね、
now.
パネルでポンっていうゲーム、キャラクター性能の差が
Yeah, last
Oh,
two stages going down
ないん
very
ですよ。
quickly.
ないの
don't
が
look now. We
ないん
could
ですよ。
finish 40 minutes
全く
ahead
ない
of
の
estimate
で、
here.
完全に
A
スー
sub
パーの
hour run is very, very good.
ご
I
めんな
would
さい。
not expect
ス
that. But this
テ
is
ージ6に
Syuga,
出て
who
く
is
る
just a
森の、
beast at this game.
緑の
Look
妖
at
精、
that
緑の
lag chain
妖精
coming
の
out.
リーゼちゃんっていうキャ
Very
ラク
quick
ターを使用
6.
しているんで
The
すけど、
double
って思った
fours are
のは、
lined up, and I think this is going to be another
いいです。
kill.
これ
Look at
が、
that.
左側の
Quick.
パネルが1
Oh
段し
Yeah.
かない
my
ので、
Wow.
goodness.
左から3段目
Syuga,
の
you
パネ
need
ルが
to
見づらいの
chill
で、
right
下
now.
にラムしかなくて罪です。
You're gonna throw off the entire event schedule.
All right, well, we are on the final stage here. I believe time is immediately as the opponent dies here at the end. Let's see, Syuga getting the double four. This might be the kill, actually. Look, the double four is at the bottom, and he's not going to do anything. Wow. GG. What a run at the end there. Syuga, you are a beast, dude. That was that was so impressive at the end.
Very, very nice. Just showing off that strat you were talking about. Because those blocks don't line up nicely.
That double four combo is so crucial. As you saw, that was probably the best example there on the witches too. You saw how many panels there were on the right side, and with that cursor speed, easily could have like mixed them around and find a match. But they were just paying attention to the left side and said, "I'm done." Bowed out, and yeah, that's pretty much paneled upon versus modes. The AI is pretty much the same, kind of just progressively gets faster and faster, but each level kind of has different strats because of like how much the opponent raises or how quickly they clear. You see the double four combo strat coming in for the later levels. I think the versus levels in this entire series, I think they're just such entertaining runs to do. They're very hard to optimize, but I think if you love puzzle games or just this game in general, it's definitely worth your while to try out.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad I signed up for this match.
And GG's, it's been a pleasure commentating alongside you, August. I'm gonna plug a little bit of things for this series of games, though. If you guys have played Paneled Upon, you play Tetris Attack, Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, Planet Puzzle League, all those, even the Animal Crossing minigame that they've had. There are speedrunners for pretty much like everything in this series. If you just go to speedrun.com, search any of the games on there, you'll find times, you'll find a Discord to our community called the League of Puzzle Speedrunners. We specialize in this series particularly. Look up Panel Attack if you want to get in the PvP side of things. That community has been just growing and growing year by year, and people are just getting ungodly good at these type of games. But yeah, we'll welcome you in open arms on pretty much anywhere where this series is. So call me out if you have any questions on BB4Key. And yeah, that's pretty much at my end. August, you got any final remarks?
No, I was just looking at the schedule. Looks like you're sticking around for some Yoshi's Cookie.
Yes, unfortunately, I have a lot of expertise in this series. Yoshi's Cookie, I've played a couple times and watched people play. I'll be honest, I don't know how that game even works half the time with specific mechanics, but I'll be here to hang out with you guys for it. I really do love that game still.
Very nice. I have a quick thing I've got to take care of, but I'll have you in the background.
Sounds good. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out. It's always nice to have another person around for a longer run like this.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll be back in like 15 or 20 minutes for Tetris.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
そこでまたちょっとだけ疑似的な積みの形チャンスが生まれるんですよね。そういう使い方があったりします。
Can you move the rainbow in this version? That's a good question, Mikan. I do not know. My guess is no. Maybe you can, though. I'm not too familiar with some of like the Easter eggs and like the post content or just like anything in these kind of series of games. I was like so focused on mechanics specifically with this.
ゲーム内、パネポンのね、ゲームキューブ版のゲーム内タイマーでカップヌードルとか作ろうと思ったら3分やったら3分30秒かかっちゃうので。
My one bonus fact is if you spell Bulbasaur on the N64 controller, you can play as Mewtwo and Versus in Pokemon Puzzle League. That's my extent, besides the other button combinations to unlock the various modes.
ぐらいですかね、話したいことは。そうですね。 そうね。あと、その、
See, what can we talk about to kill? I'm gonna try to like look up some specific stuff. I kind of know the
パネルを
basics
挟み
to
込んだりとか、 パネルを
Yoshi's
空中で浮かせ
cookie,
て
but
連鎖を伸ばしたりとか、いろいろやったりとかしてた
one
んですけ
fun
ど、
fact
ああい
about
う
this
テクニ
game,
ックに関する
Panel
有力ゲ
upon,
ーム
you
と
can
かは、
actually tie,
シュガさん、
which
一つ
is
も知ら
a
ないの
very,
で、
very rare
全部
occurrence.
感
You have to
覚で
die
やっ
in
て
the
ましたよ
exact
ってい
same
う
frame
説明で
as
した
the
ね。
opponent.
パネ
If you
ル
do it
そ
in
の
the story mode, it
挟
just
み込まれる
restarts
パ
the
ネルが
match. It
こう
doesn't
う
count
まい
as
こ
a
と入りやすい
continue,
タ
I
イミング
believe,
で
though.
えいって A ボタンを押してあげると、パッて入ってくれるので、
But
大縄跳び
yeah,
の
you
縄
can
を回す
tie.
人みたいな
I've
感じ
seen
で、
it maybe like 2
大縄跳び
times
苦
of
手な
the
子に
many,
対して
many
こうゆっ
years
くり
that
やっ
I've
てあげ
played
るみたい
it.
な感じで
Though
や
I
っ
have
てあ
seen
げ
it
ると、
once, like,
こう入りやすいん
what
じゃ
was
ない
it?
かな
At
と
a
いう
speedrun
感じですか
marathon
ね。と
Buckeye
にかく
Speed
パネルに
Bash,
対
we
して
were
は
on
優
the
しい。
side
で
TV
コンピューターに対しても優
next
しくで
to
すね。
like
コン
there's
ピューターがいっ
the
ぱい消して
the
くるん
main
ですけ
TV
ど、
that was
こう
streaming
コンピューターは消すのが仕事。
the game
赤ちゃ
that
ん
was
が
on
泣くのが仕
stream,
事
and then we
と一
just
緒
had
で
a side one for
コンピューターを消
practice.
すのが仕事な
And
ので、
Shenanigans, who
ね、
was playing,
という
who's
ことが
a
ありまして、
Pokemon
なので
speedrunner and
ね、
content
消
creator,
されてもこう負の
managed
パ
to
ネ
get
ル
it
をいただ
tied
き、
just
楽しくパ
randomly
ネプレや
playing
るこ
some
とが大事になっ
verses,
てお
and
り
that
ます。
was
という
the
ことで、
first
こ
time
の
I
あ
ever
たりにしてお
see
きます。
it.
はい。
And
この
like
あたり
my
にしてお
jaw
きます。
dropped. I'm like, dang, I didn't know
こ
you
こ
could do
は、
that.
次のゲームがですね、
What's
この
my
同じ、
favorite cookie? Mythical, you're
任
gonna
天堂
hate me
パズル
because
コ
I
レク
don't
ション
even
と
know
いう
what
絶
type
本
of
じゃな
cookies
かった、
there
任
are
天
in the
堂パズル
game.
コレクションに収録されている、ヨッシーのクッキー
I just
とな
know
っており
there's a
ます。
certain number.
なん
I
と
know
こ
the
の
basic
任天堂パズル
mechanics.
コレクション、今回ね、2
But
つ
in
作品が
general, my
出ており
favorite
まして、
cookie.
ヨッシーのクッキーです。
That is a good
シュガさんがヨッシー
question.
のクッキーをやると、クッキーが1枚も食べられないダイエット中の
You
乙女
know,
みたいにな
I'm
ってし
kind
ま
of
う
a
ので、
basic man,
皆
and I
さんぜ
kind
ひ
of
ね、
just
す
like
ごい
those
プレーを
sugar
感
cookies
じの
with
その
like
まま
all
で
the
見ていただ
frosting
け
on
たらなと
top.
思います。ということで、ここまで
Though
の
I
お相手
do
は
just like
任天
Girl
堂パズ
Scout
ルコレク
cookies
ショ
in
ンからの
general.
絶本、
The thin
シュガで
mints
した。
are
ありが
pretty
とうございまし
good.
た。
Or what are they? The
ありがとうご
Samoas.
ざい
I
まし
do like
た。
those a lot too. Cookies are great. You can't go wrong with like a chocolate chip cookie too. Snickerdoodles are pretty good. And peanut butter chocolate chip. I mean, you can't go wrong with most cookies.